So very, very tragic news in the world of hockey today as Guy Lafleur, Le Demon Blonde, one of the greatest Montreal Canadiens and NHL right wingers in history, passed away. He was nicknamed the Flower because Lafleur is French for the flower. He was the first NHLer to score 50 goals in 6 consecutive seasons, as well as 50 goals, 100 points in 6 consecutive seasons. Guy Lafleur would have a 20-year playing career spanning 17 seasons and all that. The news of Guy Lafleur's death, for me personally, is a shock, as I am a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but always remember the 1970s Montreal Canadiens as a great dynasty. You had Steve Shutt, Yvon Cournoyer, Guy Lafleur, Larry Robinson, Serge Savard, and Ken Dryden as your front six. It was huge. And a personal note that the first person who told me about the Guy Lafleur story when I checked on Facebook was Jim Schmiedeberg of Blue Shirt Underground Radio. So check that out if you're a New York Rangers fan. Blue Shirt Underground Radio. We talk about the New York Rangers. And Lafleur was born September 20th, 1951 in Thurso, Quebec. He played in the Quebec International Pee Wee tournament from 62 to 64 and put up 3 years and he scored 64 points, which was amazing. He would be famously known for being part of the Quebec Ramparts of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League when he got them the Memorial Cup in 1971, putting up not one, but 130 regular season goals. And Lafleur would idolize Sean Beliveau and Bobby Orr, for that matter. Lafleur had to be in Sean Beliville's shadow because Beliveau was the greatest Quebec Ramparts player of all time. And Lafleur would wear number 4 on the Ramparts. In fact, that Ramparts team at the Memorial Cup in 1971 was the last Quebec Major Junior Hockey team in 25 Quebec base team in 25 years to win the Mem Cup until Hall/Gatineau did in 1996. Lafleur was picked to be one of the top 2 prospects in the NHL draft in the 1971 NHL draft, alongside Marcel Dion. Montreal did one of the greatest Houdini acts, as Sam Pollock would trade a couple of players, including veteran Ernie Hick, to the California Golden Seals for the first round pick in 1971 that the California Golden Seals had. Unfortunately, the Golden Seals were not in last place at the NHL trade deadline. It was Los Angeles. So to make sure LA did better than the Golden Seals and to give Montreal a better chance to get Lafleur, Montreal then traded veteran Ralph Backstrom to the LA Kings to assure that the Kings would not be in last place, which it worked out. And all that. Anyway, Oakland finished last, which meant Montreal had the first overall pick. Pollock would actually choose Lafleur instead of Marcel Dion, who fell to the Detroit Red Wings. Lafleur would wear number 10. Jean Beliveau wanted Lafleur to wear his number 4, but then he said, don't try to be a second Jean Beliveau, be the first Guy Lafleur. So Lafleur would wear number 10, all that. The last good player to wear number 10 was Jean-Guy Talbot. But anyway, Guy Lafleur did okay and all that. He didn't get much time in his first few seasons because of the fact that the Canadiens were deep in veteran players. People thought he was worse than Marcel Dion, but Marcel Dion had a chance to be a superstar in Detroit right away, whereas Lafleur couldn't on the star-studded Habitants. However, by 1975, he started putting up his smooth skating style and scoring touch, and actually by that season, he decided not to wear a helmet. He used to wear a helmet, but then he decided to keep a helmet off and have his flowing blonde locks and all that. Lafleur would be a cornerstone of the Habs dynasty of the 1970s, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP in 1977, and in 1979, scoring one of the biggest goals in the Habs history as he skated down the right-hand side and hit a slap shot over the shoulder of Gilles Gilbert of the Bruins in Game 7 of the NHL semifinals. That tied the game, and then Mario Tremblay to Yvon Lambert to win the game for the Habs. And all that. In fact, Don Cherry would order his players to put their sticks up and hit Lafleur whenever they encountered him. allegedly, he famously told Don Marcotte of the Bruins to shadow Lafleur, even if he goes to the washroom and all that. Anyway, in 1979, Lafleur would actually swipe the Stanley Cup from underneath Canadiens team officials and put it in his backyard in Verso, Quebec. Lafleur actually would then release the album Lafleur, with Guy Lafleur reciting hockey instructions accompanied by disco music, both English and French. Despite the dynasty of the Habs taking flight and destroyed after Ken Dryden and Jacques Lemaire decided to retire at the end of the 79 season. Dryden very unexpectedly. He only played like 8 seasons. The Canadiens dynasty came to an end. They got bounced by the Minnesota North Stars in the 1980 playoffs in 7 games, including losing Game 7 on home ice thanks to a goal by Al McAdam. Montreal would falter and all that. Lafleur would have a decent 81 season, but his production dipped significantly. And even worse is that Lafleur fell asleep at the wheel of his car March of 1981, crashed into a highway fence. A metal post pierced the windshield and missed his head by inches. Lafleur would only appear in 51 games in the 81 season and score 27 goals. That was the first time since 1974, when he wasn't really a key player, that he didn't hit the 50-goal plateau. Unfortunately, Lafleur's later career was a shadow of himself. But it didn't help that the coaching staff wanted him to take a defensive forward role and all that. Lemaire was a defensive-minded coach. Lafleur was all offense first. There was a riff and all that. Lafleur wanted to be traded because he didn't do well with Lemaire. So Savard said that he couldn't do it because it would be backlash galore. Lafleur decided in November 1984 to finally having enough and just retiring and all that. So anyway, he got inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1988 because of his long career. Unfortunately, though, his competitive fires did not burn out as he decided to go back to the NHL, and play for Edmonton. Rumors were circulating that Los Angeles wanted him, but he said no. So anyway, Lafleur was signed to a 1-year contract by Phil Esposito, who was the Rangers GM at that time. So he played for the Rangers. He did okay. And in his first game back in Montreal, he actually received a standing ovation and put up 2 goals. That was a famous game, February 1989, that was on national TV in Canada, Hockey Night in Canada, with Dick Irvin Jr. doing the play-by-play and Scotty Bowman doing the color commentary. Lafleur put up 2 goals against Patrick Roy. The fans just went nuts. You would have thought that it was a half player scoring. Montreal would have the last laugh, winning 7-5 after Montreal choked. Lafleur was given the first start of the game, though. He did okay and all that, but knee injury would ruin him. Lafleur would head to Quebec City after the season. Despite Los Angeles trying to get him, Lafleur said that Quebec was where he needed to be because, he was a star for the junior team in Quebec City. In 2 seasons, he would put up only 24 goals. He would be a mentor to Joe Sakic, and of course played on Nordiques teams that were crappy, if anything. All that. Guy Lafleur had a nice time, and at the end of March 1991, it was a home-and-home with Montreal and Quebec. He had great standing ovations both times. The funny thing is that Lafleur actually was drafted in the expansion draft by the Minnesota North Stars in 1991 because the Minnesota North Stars owners, the Gunn brothers, wanted to move the team to California, but the NHL said no, so they gave the North Stars to Norm Green and then allowed the Guns to get an expansion franchise in San Jose. So the Sharks would take Minnesota North Stars players, and then Minnesota would fill their rosters with players from other teams. Since no Quebec Nordique was drafted by either the Sharks or North Stars, they had to pick a Quebec guy. And, of course, Lafleur agreed to an authorized job with the Nordiques, but the North Stars had to pick a Quebec Nordique guy. The North Stars did solve the quandary by trading back to Quebec for the rights to Alan Haworth. So, anyway, Lafleur would actually do well with helicopter rentals and all that. He had his own brand of fruit juice energy drink, Flower Power. I did not know that. He also had a restaurant for several years in Rosemère, Quebec. Of course, Lafleur would be in deep trouble because his son Mark was arrested for assault, forcible confinement, and other charges. And basically, Lafleur gave contradictory testimony about Mark respecting his curfew. Lafleur was unanimously acquitted of all charges by 2010. Unfortunately, Lafleur would get health issues by 2019. He would have open heart surgery with 5 bypasses, a quintuple bypass. He would have a cancerous lobe removed from his left lung, but then cancer in his right lung was diagnosed, and basically that was all of it. Lafleur was an icon. The all-time leading scorer in Habs history. No one else has touched that, not even Belleville or Rocket Richard. He's second in all-time goals for a Hab in a Montreal outfit, 518 behind Rocket Richard, and the most assists. In his 14 years with the Habs, he led the NHL in points 3 times, getting the Art Ross Trophy, obviously. It was amazing. Lafleur helped Canada out in the 76 and 81 Canada Cup tournaments, winning the 76 tournament because, they were that just darn good and all that. Lafleur would sell a lot of his memorabilia for 400,000 American bucks. He was named an officer of the Order of Canada in 1980, which is humongous. He was ranked number 11 on the 100 greatest hockey players in 1998. And the Quebec Major Junior League, before the start of this 2021-22 season, actually retired as number 4 league-wide, which is amazing. Guy Lafleur was a 5-time Stanley Cup champion, 3-time Art Ross Trophy winner, 2-time Hart Trophy as an MVP 77-78, 6-time first-team All-Star right winger, and the Conn Smythe Trophy winner in 1977. Lafleur would put up 560 goals, regular season goals in 1,126 games with 1,353 points and 134 points in 128 playoff games. He's survived by his wife Louise and a few kids. Guy Lafleur died just 1 week after Mike Bossy, fellow Quebec star right winger, passed away. Guy Lafleur.